What is up, Nickel City Mafia? Welcome to another edition of the Bills Tailgate Show. Big game this week. We got the Chiefs coming to Buffalo. Divisional playoffs, round two between these two, as far as divisional rounds go, divisional playoffs go. A couple years ago, we all remember the 13-second game. We'll get into all that and a lot more. But first, I want to say hi to my co-host, Mr. Podger, Mr. Jake Podger, who was at the game on Monday. And yeah, we didn't do a post game. It's rare when we don't do a post game, but it was a long day. I mean, out here in California, the game started at 1:30. So for those that had to work, I had to get up 5 a.m., put in my 8 hours and watch the game. And then, of course, as those injuries were mounting up, was just like really getting to me. And then by 5 o'clock, I was so dang tired. I'm an old man. 12 hours straight is not a good thing for me. But my man, Mr. Podger, went to the game, bought tickets, and because you got them really cheap, I understand. So tell us about your experience there in Buffalo at that game, my friend.
Yeah, well, first off, kind of a spur of the moment decision, but ticket prices were dropping. So there were these big claims that there was going to be a monster snowstorm. It did not disappoint. As we know, the game
Yeah.
was moved to Monday. But my good buddy Nate, shout out Nate Quinn, he lives in Cleveland right now. He said, "Listen, if these tickets drop below $100, we got to go." And I said, "Absolutely, agreed, deal." And we got our other friend Maddie, I be trolling 46, who sometimes comes in the comments here, also joined us. So we all put our heads together. We found really good seats, Mike. Section 116, 18 rows up. We're in the corner of the end zone on the visitor side. And man, it was what an electric experience. So my day was a little bit different than yours. I did get up early, but not because I had to get up early for work. I was actually off, luckily. Shout out Sammy V. Thanks for giving us off that day. Also, shout out to Martin Luther King. We
Yes.
appreciate you, sir. Rest in peace. But anyways, I had to get up early because we were battling a snowstorm. And prior to that, the 2 days prior to it, we had complete whiteout conditions, and we had about 40 or so inches of snow drop. So, I'm sure a lot of people out there have seen all the videos of fans shoveling snow in the stadium and people, just losing their ever-loving minds. Of course, a lot of controversy surrounding the moving of the game, but I think it was the right play because Sunday, let me tell you something, Mike. I couldn't see from my house to my shed in my backyard. It was just complete whiteout
Wow.
conditions. I'm like 7 minutes from the stadium. The stadium was an absolute mess. So we needed all the possible time we could get in order to even get that stadium in a playable condition. So thank God they did move the game. And it wasn't about the players playing in the snow or the weather. It was a matter of people getting to the stadium, traffic, all that good stuff, and allocating resources, really. So it was great, though. I'll tell you what, the atmosphere was amazing. We got great spots, great seats, and I sent you some awesome videos. So I hope you enjoyed those too. And yeah, I'm fired up. I did say if for whatever reason tickets drop below $100 again, which is definitely not going to happen for
Not
this
gonna
divisional
happen.
round game, I'm going again. But I probably will not be in attendance for this one.
Yeah, I saw the images, I saw the videos. I was like, wow, yeah, they definitely made the right call. I have to ask you because it was crazy. So they were paying folks $20 an hour to come help shovel out the stadium. And I
Yep.
saw images early morning. I'm like, there's no way they're gonna get this done. And
Yeah.
they did. And game time, it looked beautiful there. But I gotta ask you, because I saw pictures from you and from Ryan, who's a longtime
Mhm.
member of the channel, and it looked like maybe I think he's a little bit higher up than where you sit. And did they give preference to the lower seats because he had a lot of snow around him?
I think they did a little bit more so in the aisles. So up in like the 200s and 300s, I know, well, not, I don't think so much in the 200s, but I know for sure in the 300s, I talked to multiple people. You had to literally get on your butt and slide down in the aisle because it was all ice. It was just mounds of snow
Wow.
and it was hard to get your footing. So you didn't want to obviously slip and fall, especially when you're up that high. So a lot of people were just sliding on their butts down to get to the bottom there. So it was wild. Where I was, it was a little bit better. It was still slippery. There was still snow on my seat. And it was great because every time we scored or made a big play, You could see it on the
I saw
television,
it,
Mike.
yeah.
We were throwing snow up in the air, and there were multiple warnings, but I think we were pretty good. I did see some snowballs thrown at players and officials and stuff like that, and definitely don't condone that. But throwing it up in the stands like that, I think that's awesome. I mean, that is just part of the Buffalo atmosphere. So, yeah, it was a hell of a time. That was my first ever snow game like that in person, my first ever playoff game as well. So, 1-0 in that sense. I love it.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think from what I saw, most of it was celebration snowballs going up into the
Yeah.
stands, like you said. I didn't see any hit the ground, but you were there, so you saw a few reach the field.
Yep.
I know that they used a chute on the lower sections. Like there was a chute that could go up, and
That's
people
right.
would shovel onto the chute. It would go onto the field, and obviously they'd be using the tractors and trucks to haul that away, but not up in section 332 where Ryan was. Poor guy.
That's great.
His picture. I said, well, at least drinks were able to stay cold. Man, you just stuck the drink in the snow.
Oh, it's the best
You're
cooler.
gonna have a nice cold drink.
That's what we call the Buffalo special right there. During the tailgate, especially, Mike, I'm like, I don't even need to bring a cooler. I'll just bring a 30 rack of beers. And if I need to chill the beers, I mean, it's cold enough as it is outside. You open up a beer, you have it out for a couple seconds, it's already starting to crystallize, and you got icicles all over your beer can. I mean, it was about 11 degrees, 13 degrees, something like that. And honestly, I wasn't cold. The weather conditions were perfect. The wind really wasn't bad. The sun was out too, so that really helped. It was a perfect day for football. Like, it was football weather. Don't get me wrong, but I am so happy just based on what occurred on Sunday with how the weather had changed and sort of flip-flopped that and I can't believe I'm saying this. I am very happy that it was rescheduled for Monday.
Yeah, we're gonna have a show, another show, just debate what is really football weather, Jake.
Love it.
What do
Yeah.
most people really think is football weather? 0 to 5 degrees? Oh my goodness, I don't know. If you were to poll the players, that'd be an interesting poll. Let me just say that much.
For sure.
Let's say
Yeah.
hi to some folks. Stefan, good to see you out there, sir. He said, "Hey, if I had went to the game,
Son of
he
a
would have
gun.
been very close to you." Let's see, what did he say? Where
Wow.
was he
3
going to
rows
be?
apart.
I would have been 3 rows apart.
So same
And
section. Wow.
yeah, and John said get a snowy seat. So Jake's was
Yeah.
okay. Ryan's was not. Ryan sits up in the 300 section. And let's see, John Roberts saying, I saw a dad walking down the stairs in front of his kids, and what, just to protect them, make sure they didn't go sliding down,
John, I'm assuming you went to the game as well. Where were you sitting?
throwing it upon the stands was great. Yeah, that was cool. It's
That
cool
was
to see.
awesome. Yeah, it was
For
like
sure.
LeBron James before his pregame, where he'll throw up the powder in the air. Except this was powder. This was snow powder. Pretty awesome.
Sean saying intro wasn't long enough. I'm unsubbing. So it was funny. We do our shows, and Jake and I have kind of dismissed the intro, but some of our other shows on this channel, they do the intro. And you always get folks in the comments like, can you do away with the intro? I mean, it's a minute and a half of my life that you're wasting. and you have to explain to them, like, for live shows, you want to give people a chance to join you. So you play that intro. Some people I've seen some shows, they have 4-minute intros, Jake. They just sit there and they wait and they wait. And then people gather, and then you have some folks that are there when you start the show. So that's the main reason for the intro. But yeah, you and I, we kind of dismiss it. We get right into it because I think we shoot the bull a little bit, and that gives people enough time to join us. Sean, thanks for joining us out there. I know he usually will watch us in the morning when he's working. So appreciate you coming in and saying hi.
Heck yeah.
So Jake, I thought, we're going to get into the preview for sure, but I thought what we do is go back on a time machine to 2017 and cover the draft in 2017, and which really shaped these two franchises for what was to be hopefully for the next 15 to 20 years. So let me share 2017. Let's go through it. Some of you may know this. Some of you don't, because listen, back in 2017, I wasn't doing a podcast. I was just a true fan. Whoever the Bills drafted, I would just look them up. I wasn't doing any pre-draft. I wasn't looking at, oh man, who do we need this year? Whoever the Bills drafted, I would watch the draft, but I wasn't like, oh, we should have took this player. Oh, we should have took that player. I just accepted who the scouting team chose to select. So let's get into 2017 and go through it because it was a nice draft, especially really a nice draft for the Bills.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Except there's some question marks. So let's get into it here. So let me share screen. And let's choose this one right here. And let me bring that up. So let's get into it. 2017, round one, folks. Myles Garrett taken off the board by Cleveland, having a fantastic career. Fantastic career. Still with Cleveland, who got knocked out shockingly this past weekend. Mitch Trubisky, unfortunately, kind of a bust on that pick. Chicago's kicking themselves, right? Number 2 pick.
Former Buffalo Bill.
Buffalo
Mitchell
Bill.
Trubisky. Yeah.
Solomon Thomas.
Still playing.
The Niners. Yep. Lenny Fournette, who, by the way, the Bills released this week in order to sign Matt Hack, punter, to the practice squad. A little bit of a surprise for me, just in time for the Chiefs to sign him if they wanted. But no, I mean, Ty Johnson, James Cook, and Murray have been doing a very good job. And they did give Fournette some time. But honestly, if you have to free up a spot, I guess that's what I'm going to be using here to free up that spot. Corey Davis from Tennessee, who I felt they let him go too soon. He had the retire, I feel, too soon as well. But good career in some of his early days. Jamal Adams for the Jets, safety. Mike Williams, who has had an up and down. When he's playing, when he's healthy, fantastic wide receiver, big, tall guy, and has played fantastic for the Chargers when he's healthy. Christian McCaffrey. Can you believe that, Jake? Look at this.
Yep.
John Ross, who kind of also didn't turn out to be a little bit of a bust. But here we go. Number 10, Patrick Mahomes. Guess whose pick that was, Jake? You know this.
That was our pick.
Buffalo Bills traded down. Now, they traded down to 27th pick, and I'll show you that in a little bit. But I was reading an article today and why Sean McDermott passed up on Patrick Mahomes. First of all, he had just been hired by the Bills about 3 months before the draft. So there really wasn't a lot of time to evaluate talent. And of course, he's a defensive coach. So what do you think he's going to be evaluating, looking for that team? And, Tyrod Taylor, he was serviceable. But, I mean, come on, they knew he wasn't the future of the franchise. So right. I'm surprised they didn't. But I feel what happened here is obviously the Kansas City Chiefs did their homework, and they felt Patrick would fit their scheme, Andy Reid, and boy, did he, right? So the Bills trade down, and they get the first-round pick from the Chiefs in 2018. Now, they don't get the pick that we picked Josh Allen with at number 7. I think it was, it was somewhere at 22. And I think we traded up to 18 in order to draft Tremaine Edmonds.
That's right. Yep.
Right. So big deal here, right? I mean, a lot of teams, especially the Bears, 9 other teams passed on Patrick Mahomes. And I also read that, at least from one person's perspective, that if he had looked at film, sure, he was okay. He was good, but nothing like, oh my God, he's not going to be a generational player like he's turned out to be. So a lot of teams just under or misevaluated him. So kind of a surprise there. But then you go down to 27, and I'm going to show you the rest of the Bills draft here in 2017. So let me just sort this by team, and I'll be able to give that to you. So if we go down to Buffalo here, we take Tre'Davious White at number 27 in the first round. So we had traded down. Again, we got the first pick for 2018 from the Chiefs. And I think we also got a later round pick as well.
Yep.
And then we got Dawkins in the second round, Deion Dawkins. Look at those two guys. Just amazing players for this team, right?
Yeah.
Zay Jones, interesting. I want you to talk to me about Zay because, I saw him early on. It took him a while to get actually any play time with his Bills. But then when he went on to the Jaguars, he's been pretty solid over there. So what do you think happened with Zay while he was in Buffalo?
I think it was a matter of, I think we tried to turn him into a number 2 receiver, and he was more of a slot guy really coming into the draft that year. He was coming off a monster year at East Carolina. I think he put up like 100 and I don't know, it was a ridiculous amount of catches and a ridiculous amount of yards. But yeah, he really didn't live up to, and it's crazy because, you think, oh, a second round pick, he really didn't live up to the hype. But yeah, then he goes from the Bills. Now he's on the Jags actually right now. But he was with the Raiders prior to that. And ever since he's left Buffalo, his career's kind of taken a turn for the better. And even so, he did have one solid year with us, but again, he really didn't live up to the hype because everyone felt that he was going to be like the next big thing, the next Lee Evans, the next Eric Moulds, and he didn't put up those numbers per se. Now, at the time, we have Tyrod Taylor and then Josh Allen at quarterback his rookie year, so it wasn't, you're not getting this incredible quarterback at the time. Josh wasn't who he is at that moment, so, and same with Tyrod. Tyrod was a very, I admire Tyrod. I think he was a very good quarterback for us, but I'm not going to say that he was the guy, you know what I mean? So, yeah, I think it was just a matter of him not really fitting in that role at the time, and he still needed some time to develop. He came in, he put up insane numbers at East Carolina, but he didn't really play against incredible competition in college either. So there's that factor too. He's done some good things though since. So I don't think I would label that as a bust. I think, he's turned out to have a pretty formidable career. So still not a bad draft pick, honestly.
Were you excited when they drafted him? Because
I was super fired up.
Yeah, I'd imagine because you're all about guys that name Zay Flowers this year, Zay Jones a few years
Jeff
back.
Blake's nephew.
And
Jeff
so
Blake's
based on what you saw coming out of college, you had to be excited there, but didn't quite work out for the Bills. Then, of course, one of the best draft picks ever, Nathan Peterman, in the 5th round. And Peterman, I still remember, I went to that Charger game out here in California when Peterman got the start over Tyrod, and I was there for the 5 interceptions first half game. Pretty bad. But then look at this stud we get also in the 5th round, Matt Milano.
Yeah.
So overall, and then of course we got Tanner Vallejo. I don't even know.
Tanner Vallejo. Yeah.
He stayed in. He's been able to stay in the league. I think he's finally out, but he stayed around, fought his way onto different teams, and played for a few more years after that draft. But overall, if I was grading the draft, I'm giving that a B plus.
Yeah,
easily. If you look at these players now, Matt Milano, Dawkins, Trey White, unfortunately for the last 3 years, hasn't really been able to contribute when it matters at playoff time. Obviously, we're missing Milano this year, but Deion Dawkins just fantastic. Now, the question for you and the channel: if the Bills would have drafted Pat Mahomes, would the Buffalo Bills have a Super Bowl by now?
No. I don't think Pat Mahomes is who he is without, first off, learning under Alex Smith. Because he came in. So I think the biggest thing with Pat Mahomes, too, I mean, he obviously had a lot of natural talent. And he had that baseball type arm, too.
Yep.
He grew up in a baseball family, right? So he's able to throw the sidearm and kind of manipulate throws in ways that a lot of other quarterbacks couldn't. But he played at Texas Tech. Texas Tech is a aired out, all passing offense. I mean, the numbers he put up there were ridiculous. And the quarterback prior to him that set insane records and ended up getting drafted in the 6th round was Graham Harrell. Played with the Packers for a little bit. Now he's coaching, I think. But, you look at these string of Texas Tech quarterbacks. Even before that, you had B.J. Simmons as well, who ended up going to the Texans. Just giving you a little history here, Mike.
Yeah.
Those guys really didn't pan out in the league, and there was a reason for that. Now, Pat Mahomes, I think the biggest difference between him and those other 2 guys who I named, he had that natural ability, but people still labeled him as very raw. And the reasoning for that is just because Texas Tech had a very friendly quarterback system where they're going to put up numbers no matter what. You are always set up for success in that system. Cliff Kingsbury was the head coach there too, who then went on to the NFL as well. So I think people wanted to take a chance on him a little bit earlier just because he did have, even though he had that Texas Tech system, he still had that natural ability, and Cliff Kingsbury was very high on him in that draft class, of course. So, yeah, I mean, then he goes to the Chiefs. He learns under Alex Smith, Andy Reid, the quarterback whisperer, as Keith says. It's a perfect situation for him. So I think all of that has helped mold him into who he is today.
Yeah, look what they had for him. So when he gets the reins in 2018, he's got Tyreek Hill. He's
Yeah.
got Kelsey as a tight end. And boy, he played one game. I think it was the last game of 2017 for Alex Smith. But 2018, he got the reins. Dude, he was 12-4, threw for over 5,000 yards, 50 touchdowns, Jake, 50.
Yeah.
And it was insane. I mean, he had a rating of 80 QBR rating and then a quarterback rating of 113. Just insane. But I think, the question to you where you answered it and you said, no, we wouldn't, because I think I totally agree. He fit Andy Reid, and he had great supporting cast around him at that time when he started. So I totally agree. And then Josh Allen, who was drafted in 2018, he actually didn't start initially. I don't know. Did Tyrod get hurt and then they decided to put Josh in, or did they just decide,
No.
we're not doing well? Let's play Josh.
No, Nate Peterman was actually the guy, Mike. We started that year off against the Ravens. Yeah. And he had a horrendous, it was a really, really bad start. Josh finally got into the game. I think it was against the Chargers that year. And then he started to see a little bit of what he could do. And then, of course, he has the game against the Vikings where he hurdles Anthony Barr, which is just an incredible play. And that sort of set the tone for his career. And he really didn't give up a starting job until he got injured. Matt Barkley had to play one of those games against the Jets. I remember it was pretty incredible game. Robert Foster had a monster day, I remember. But yeah, didn't really look back after that.
Yeah, I agree. Josh was 5-6 in his first year.
Yep.
So yeah, different situation. Not quite the weapons that the Chiefs had. They had Dable. That was McDermott's second year. And I forget who was the OC in 2017. It wasn't Dable. It was
was it Dennison, Rick Dennison? I want to say it was.
Yeah. Right. So, interesting. So let me catch up with the channel here, because that was an interesting question. I don't know how many of you knew that the Bills had a chance to get Patrick Mahomes at number 10 and traded down, and we ended up getting our superstar, Josh Allen, 1 year later. Let's see here. Okay, yes. Here's another reason that we didn't do the post-game show, because obviously it looked like Cam had a couple missed plays, but I argue that whole, linebackers, corners, I think McDermott switched to a slightly different D, and it just made Cam look a little bad there. But I knew it. This is the reason why I did the post game. I knew Trek Reviewer was going to come in and say, cut Cam.
Bring the heat, baby. Yeah. My dad thought about you, Trek Reviewer. He was probably, he thought in his head, I just wonder what this guy is thinking right now when he saw that play with Cam.
Battlehawk, good to see you, gents. Nervous, of course. Every game's nervous with the Bills. Mike sits at the head of the table. I don't know, not really. We both sit at the head of the table here. Did you hear the report that asked Tampa head coach Todd Bowles how he was going to? Oh yeah. That was so funny. I didn't listen to the whole thing. I just read it, and I'm like, seriously, I felt so bad for the reporter. I totally did.
That's one of those moments where you just kind of sink into your chair and you just try to forget about it and move on. And that is tough, though. That's really tough.
Yeah.
And Todd Bowles even had a laugh about it too.
So what did he say? Can you kind of give me? I didn't listen to the video, but I read it, so I know what happened. But what was his response?
And he's like, they play in a dome, right? It's a pretty controlled environment. We're not changing any situation or any type of way that we practice for that. Yeah.
Poor her. But hey, we've all made these type of mistakes, especially early on in our careers, even later on in our careers. Let's see. I did not know that Hack was still in the league. I don't think, he wasn't. They signed him off of free agency. He was
with the Colts last year, actually.
Yeah. And this year, I think he's been focused on his ministry that he has going on. And brought him back. Left-footed kicker.
Yep.
Now, he was our punter before Punt God got there, right?
That's right. Yeah.
And
so
Punt God beat him out.
He was here for 2 years, and his last season with the Bills was not pretty. A lot of people were calling for his head halfway through the year even. So it wasn't a great finish here in Buffalo for him. He did get a job last year with the Colts. His numbers weren't crazy, but he's a guy that can get the job done. Obviously, his experience kicking in this type of weather. So I felt like the Bills made the right decision there. Got to say, if you saw Sam Martin when he pulled his hamstring, obviously very unfortunate situation, but it was pretty freaking funny too to watch. I mean, he's running and he's just out there as the punter. I felt so bad for the guy, but it is pretty funny if you rewatch it.
Jake, have you ever pulled a hammy?
I have, and it's awful. It's
Yeah.
I do not envy him at all. I mean, it's a brutal situation. I do feel bad for him.
We got Roy coming in saying, yeah, Mahomes came from an air raid system. Teams had concern with that.
Yeah.
And yeah, and if you watch this film, like I said, based on the article I read, it wasn't screaming generational guy. It just wasn't. So I can see why the Bills didn't go with him, but the way it worked out, I think it was best for both teams. And just crazy. Like, think about it. If the Bills take him, where did Josh Allen end up?
I know, right?
Where does he end up? Because a lot of people weren't high on Josh Allen.
No, he was. You want to talk about a guy labeled as raw. Josh was the rawest prospect in the 2018 draft. So look at him now.
Roy says your cat's looking for the train set, man. Your cat's a little lost. Where's the train set?
I saw her back there. Yeah. Yeah. We're dog sitting right now, so she's a little hesitant upstairs. There's two dogs that are a little bit bigger than her. She's been hissing at them all day. They're actually Zach's dogs, who's in the chat here. Apologize. I lost my voice the other day at the game, and now I have like a cold kind of mixed with that. So it's a terrible combination. I gotta get right for the game, Mike. It's not good.
That's okay, man. I understand. Support of the team. It's all good. The after party was good too, I'd imagine, right?
Oh, it was a hell of an after party, let me tell you. Yeah. People were fired up. Yeah, a lot of drinks flowing for sure. But hey, shout out to Zach. I want to give a shout out to Zach too. He just had a baby.
All right.
My nephew.
Congrats.
Ollie. Yes. He's going to be a future edge rusher, maybe outside linebacker. I have to do a full scouting report on him. I mentioned it last show. But yeah, kid's going to be huge. He's 8 pounds, 12 ounces, full head of hair. I mean, the kid's ready to go. Probably start lifting next week.
That is awesome. Congratulations, Zach. Haven't seen Zach since he was upset that one night. Oh yeah, we did see him. He came out and he says, don't you guys usually start the show at 9 o'clock? It's 9:45. What's going on? So the channel saying no, definitely not. We would not have a Super Bowl if we had drafted Mahomes in 2017. Keith saying Patrick's not who he is without Andy Reid. And again, I agree with you, Keith. He also had a great support system around him. Tyreek Hill, are you kidding me? Travis Kelce, come on now. And I forget their other weapons. They had others, but those are the two big ones.
Hardman, Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I mean, they had some really nice players.
Yeah, Stefan, totally agree there. Let's see here. Who else we got? I would have taken I didn't go to the bottom of that draft, the bottom of the first round. TJ Watt was taken near the bottom of the first round.
Unbelievable, right? Number 30, pick 30, something like that.
Yeah, something like that. It was like, I'm like, so there were other players that you like, Trey White, TJ Watt. I don't know. TJ Watt's had a injury-ridden, riddled career. I mean, obviously he wasn't there in the game with us, and I feel like he's had some big injuries at crucial times in past years. But there's Trey White too. You can say the last 3 years he hasn't been here for our playoff runs. So, man, TJ Watt. Like having a Bruce Smith again.
It's a really good draft class, honestly. If you go back and look at it, there's a lot of Pro Bowlers, a lot of All Pros, maybe future Hall of Famers on that list too. So pretty damn good first round draft class.
I would have taken McCaffrey instead of Peterman and take our chances with an undrafted quarterback instead of taking Mr. Interception, Nathan Peterman.
Well, I mean, we really didn't have a shot at getting them.
No, McCaffrey was taken in the first round, like before Mahomes. There's Zach. Right. He's out there. Congrats, Zach. Allen's first start was home against the Chargers.
Yeah, I remember that.
We got smoked.
That game, it was hot as hell, too. I mean, it was really, really hot that day. I think it was high 80s or something like that.
Let's talk about Kelly Bills. If we played like how we did against Pitt, we win in that Super Bowl. Yeah, unless we, the momentum shifted after that block field goal. I mean, we went cold for a little bit. We honestly did. But, man, we get off to that hot start using the tight ends. I agree with you. I mean, if you can play like that, no turnovers, No turnovers, man. That's how you win these games. And I think that's going to be a theme. I've been singing it all year, and that's going to be a theme this week. And yeah, we're going to get into those injuries, man. Got some serious
Yeah.
concerns.
What a list. Holy smokes.
When I saw that Cam play, I was doing the Daniel Bay on Yes chant. Oh my goodness. Hey, don't put it on him. Don't put it on him. There was like a bunch of other people. He's looking around like, who the heck are you? Who the heck are you? AJ Klein. I was just signed, this week again to the practice squad.
Crazy.
Dorian. I'm Dorian. You're Dorian Williams. Okay, you're getting in here, getting some time.
Yep.
So
at a certain point, I thought I was going to have to go out and play linebacker.
I'm telling you, man. I'm telling you,
it was getting to that point.
Yeah, Zach.
He had a rough finish in Buffalo. Yeah, so I think a lot of people have a sour note with him, obviously. But the good thing is, there is something to be said about re-signing a guy that's already played in this type of environment, because that stadium is not easy to punt or kick in. So I guess it's good to have some familiarity, and hopefully we don't even have to use him. That'd be great.
Yeah, for sure. And then Battlehawk asking if Connors McGovern's okay. Yes, he came back. He played in the game. He stayed. Yep. I think
it was only like a play or two.
Yeah, he came right back. So we're good. Edmonds was terrible against the run. Yeah, he
was.
We drafted him with what did I say? It was the 18th pick in the first round of the 2018 draft. And yeah, a lot of folks weren't happy with his performance during his stay. It was divided, man. I don't know what most folks in this channel thought. I was on the side where he just wasn't playing up to his potential based on his size, his speed. Those are the type of linebackers I like, those big guys. But Terrell Bernard proved me wrong this year, Jake. You would tell me earlier on, you're like, it's a passing game. We need these smaller guys. And I'm like, because remember, who was I wanting us to draft? Jack Campbell.
Yeah.
For the Lions, right? And I don't know. I don't think he started the year with the Lions, but I saw him and he's been getting some play.
Still would have been a good pick, but
yeah.
I'm glad it turned out the way it did.
Yeah.
For sure.
So Bernard, as you know, better than what it looked like, right? He went off. You're like, oh my goodness, what is this? Is this another ACL tear? Is this something that's going to keep him out for the year? It may. I think he's going to miss this week. It's an ankle injury. I don't know the extent of it. Have you heard anything more on Bernard?
Yeah, best case scenario, it sounds like Super Bowl maybe for him.
Oh wow!
It'll probably be a two week injury, most likely, at least.
That is so harsh, man.
Yeah.
Let's see. I'm kind of feeling. Was feeling kind of old when I heard the other day that Notre Dame was recruiting a wide receiver named Jerome Bettis.
Yeah, wild, isn't it, man? We're seeing all the guys that we grew up. Their sons are playing in the league now. It's crazy. League or college, it does make you feel a little old, I gotta say.
Battlehawk saying with McDermott's system, you can plug and play linebackers. Well, true to some extent, but at some point, you're going to be in trouble especially when you got to think about who are going to be covering. And we'll get into the injuries here, but my concern is Kelsey, right? Yeah. Taron Johnson's in concussion protocol. This is his second or third time he's been in protocol this year. Being that it's a short week, I don't have a lot of hopes that he'll be in there. But Jake, you love Siran Neal, right? You love Siran Neal to maybe, get physical with Kelsey. He's a bigger guy. He's one of the fastest guys on our team, Jake, if not the fastest. I don't know if people know that about Siran Neal.
Yeah, the guy's unbelievable. He's a really, really good athlete, Mike. And the multiple times that he's played up against Travis Kelce, he's done a fantastic job. I remember one specific game where that was the key. Just literally limit Travis Kelce, get in his face, jam him at the line. And there wasn't a guy better for the job than Siran Neal. So I think it's a perfect fit. Even had Taron Johnson been healthy, or if he is going to be healthy for this game, I still think you play Siran Neal on Travis Kelce just because he offers that value. And maybe you play some, I don't know, you could still rotate him in and out and whatnot, but I think you gotta have that matchup just because of size alone and the physicality.
Yeah. So missing TJ again, not looking good. Siran Neal, I'm gonna ride with you, Jake. I'm gonna ride with you because he did it last time we played them. I think a few years back, not this past year or the regular season. I don't think I saw Siran on him because that would be TJ. But
Yep.
I know it was a game. Maybe it was the playoff game. You saw a little bit of Saran Neal against Kelsey. Is that when we saw him? Because I know you were saying you saw it and he was doing a good job.
Yeah, playoff game, and then I think it was 2 years ago. We specifically had him on Travis Kelce, and it worked out great. Worked out in our favor.
Isabella, you think he's our fastest? I don't know. Check the 40 time on Isabella.
He might be.
And
He actually
Saran
might be.
Neal.
He ran like 4.31. It's
Really?
insane. I think Saran was at like 4.34, 4.35. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, Dotson, would be his. He's missed 2 weeks, and I'm hoping he's back. It's funny to say that because again, I keep repeating this, but man, early in the season, we were ready to let that guy go.
Yeah.
Get Dotson out of here. It's a bum.
Yep.
And look what he's done, man. He's just been great. The pair of him and Bernard have really done well. And he's fast. And I love his aggressiveness on the field, Dotson. So hopefully he is able to play. Rasul Douglas, I think Rasul's been almost guaranteeing that he's going to be playing. So that's huge for us as well. I mean,
he came out and said for sure, no matter what, he will be playing on Sunday, which is great news.
Yeah. So that's huge because, they have Rice and Mahomes is getting very comfortable with Rice, starting to put up big numbers. And so we're going to need Russell for that one. With a week of practice, off of Rob saying the guys will be ready to go. It's a short week, Rob. It's a short week. So we'll see. And then I heard somebody say the weather was, I don't know, maybe it's wrong. Somebody was saying the weather was.
You're accurate.
Not allowing us to practice like we normally would.
Yeah, I think they still were able to get practice in, but there are travel bans everywhere here in the Southtown still. In Hamburg alone, we've gotten 62.5 inches of snow over the last 4 days, Mike. So it has been insane. A lot of snow blowing. And I do know this. I mean, I have a couple Buffalo Bills on the street, Justin Shorter, Kingsley Jonathan. Their street, their area, they live in the townhomes at the end of the street. That was plowed right away. So I know that they were at practice today, and I did see that they released the injury report. Looks like they had a full practice and all that, so that's good. But, yeah, it definitely has been challenging. I mean, you think about all this snow that's been dumped on us, and then you got to get players from their homes to the facility safe. You have, obviously travel bans in place as well. So there's been a lot of obstacles that we've had to maneuver over the last week or so here.
Yeah, so Battle Hawks, guy, Isabella's not working out for me. An account, he drops too much. Have they even thrown him the ball?
No, they haven't. Actually, I'll say this. I kind of liked the presence of him on the field. What he did in Arizona. Now, I know this is last year and previous years, but he's eye candy, man. He's fast as hell. And that's a guy that you're still going to want to follow and keep an eye on. You got to make sure you know where he is on the field. He's got to be accounted for because he can break off a big play. You just got to give him an opportunity. And even if you don't, I think just having him on the field definitely serves as an impact. So I do like a little bit of that, substituting him in and out.
Yeah, Trek Reviewer, interesting question. Would we, Martin Hack and Ariza, would we try to go back to the well with Ariza? I don't know. He might be just upset with us. I mean, he actually publicly, his statement was, I wish, and he didn't say the Bills, but it was directed towards them. He wished they would have played it out more and waited. But he wasn't that happy. So that'd be interesting if they might have even reached out to him this week. We don't know.
Yeah, right.
Hey, Matt. And he'd be like, no, man, I don't know. We'll see. That's an interesting question. Let's see here. He had a drop.
Yeah, technically he did. Okay. It was a little behind him. It was kind of a bad ball by Josh.
Yeah, that's what Roy's saying. He had a lot of space in front of him if Allen threw the better ball to him. So yeah, I think we're caught up there. So I want to, as much as I don't see the Chiefs all the time, I'll watch them when the Bills aren't playing and and they're in a primetime game. I'll watch the Chiefs, of course. But you're like, man, Mahomes has struggled this year. He is beatable this year. And they were able to rest everyone in week 18. So he's got that extra week of rest. Of course, he played in the Dolphins game. But so he played 16 games and Josh played 17. Let me give you some numbers between these two teams. So Josh had 385 completions, Pat Mahomes 401. Remember, 16 games. Attempts 579 for Josh, 597 for Pat, and completion percentage 66.5 for Josh, 67.2 for Mahomes. Yardage, 4,300 for Josh, 4,200 for Mahomes. I'm rounding there a little bit. Touchdowns, 29 for Josh, 27 in the air for Patrick. So again, one game less. He probably would have put up another 2 touchdowns at the very least.
Yeah.
Now rushing, of course, you're gonna have a big difference here, but even Pat's dangerous. We've seen him. We've seen him make plays. So, for instance, Josh ran the ball 111 attempts, 524 yards for 4.7 average, and he had 15 touchdowns. That's insane.
Yeah.
That's
Nuts.
insane. But Patrick Mahomes, so again, Josh averaged 4.7. Mahomes rushed it 75 times, 389 yards for a 5.2 average on the ground. So, you don't think of Mahomes like Josh does on the ground, but Mahomes is sneaky and he's quick. He'll get out of trouble. He'll extend plays. And with that great arm like Josh has, they make things happen. So when you think about that, it's, I wasn't expecting to see it as close as it is because of all that you've heard during the season. They've definitely struggled, even with those wide receivers, a lot of drops. I mean, heck, we got lucky on that offensive offsides. Valdez missed a perfect pass. I think it was a Monday Night Football game. Would have won them the game. So they could have a couple more wins. And here are the numbers. Are you surprised that the numbers are so close?
No, I'm not. No, I think when you put both quarterbacks side by side, I mean, it is 1 and 2 in the NFL, and you could flip flop them, put them any way. So no, I'm not surprised whatsoever. Now, I will say it's definitely a down year for Pat Mahomes statistically. You look at the interceptions even, and it's not a ton of interceptions. What is it, 11 on the year? Something like that?
Oh, yeah.
Or is
Okay.
it more?
No, I can give you that real quick. So
27
he has less, but let me go to that. So interceptions, he's thrown 14
okay.
in 16 games, and Josh has thrown 18.
Yeah. So, I mean, hey, they're not that far apart on interceptions. Definitely, I think just the eye test alone is telling you it's been a tougher year for Pat Mahomes. I don't put a lot of that on him. I mean, obviously he's had some tough circumstances with drop passes. I think personnel around him isn't quite the same. It's taken them a little bit longer to catch up to speed. So yeah, it's been an interesting year, but I will say this, the Chiefs have still found ways to win the tough, close games. And that's where I think you put on experience, being in those situations, dealing with pressure. I think the Chiefs are still very good at that. So you mentioned it really, really well too, Mike. Like, he's sneaky. He's a magician. He can get out, and it's sparingly that he runs the football, but when he does, it's dangerous, and something we got to still account for sure. I also want to bring this up. I meant to bring this up earlier, but Chris, already looking ahead to Baltimore. Listen, Chris, I don't know if you're still out there watching, but if we do go to the AFC Championship and it's at Baltimore, I'm going to definitely look at ticket prices. I can't promise you I will be there, but I will promise you next year we have our away trip planned out and we're going to Baltimore. So I will let you know, obviously schedule release once that all comes out. We'll have to plan for that because we are going to be going to Baltimore next year. So that's the good news.
That's awesome. I think didn't Rick say he'd buy our tickets?
He did say something like that. Yeah.
I think he was kidding.
Yep.
Jessica, good to see you out there. Hey guys, good to see you out there, Jessica. Rashee Rice is their most reliable receiver. Yep, he's getting more and more comfortable, and that rookie has been starting to put up numbers.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Kelsey Old. Well, we do know Jason Kelsey retired, which is a sad day. And I don't know, he was still playing at elite level. But if you ever listen to his and Travis Kelsey's podcast, which they do a fantastic job, by the way, I think they're extremely funny, entertaining, and all the football knowledge they share is fantastic. And they're both just good guys. I mean, they just even that play when Kelsey, for the touchdown, he lateraled it to Tony, and they scored the go-ahead touchdown in the Bills game. He wasn't mad at all about it. He says, we just can't make those mistakes. And Jason Kelsey's that same type of guy. So I did see that the games take a lot of toll on Kelsey's body. Jason Kelsey's been around a long time at center. It takes him a few days. Like, can barely walk. And so good for him. I wouldn't be surprised though if somebody gives him a call if they're making a run and the center goes down.
Oh, for sure. Yeah,
on these bus.
I doubt he does it because he has such an attachment to Philly. I think he even mentioned specific franchises he'd never play for just because he is a Philadelphia Eagle for life. So, yeah, I mean, hell of a career, and he definitely played his best football over the last really 3 years if you look at it.
So, what was your grade on Elam last week, Jake? First of
Yeah,
all, I was happy to see him, and for me, a rough start, of course. He's always been labeled that guy who is very touchy, and I mean, my God, obviously pulls back, tugs the shirt, and that's what he's been struggling with. But you see that with a lot of players, and so he comes back with a huge interception. But what do you think, Jake?
yeah, a little rusty right out the gates. I mean, he got bodied. He basically he looked like he didn't belong on the field for the first few plays he was out there, but kind of settled. He settled into his own. He almost actually had 2 interceptions, Mike. So
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
came up with a huge play. I think that is the story of Kaiir Elam. He may give up a big play here and there, but he's opportunistic and he'll make a clutch interception when he needs to. So I do love that. I mean, he did it against the Chiefs last year in the regular season. He did it against the Dolphins as well. I mean, he played very well against the Dolphins last season too. So there's been some moments with him where it's like, okay, this kid can play in the NFL. I don't know if he's still not a great scheme fit for the Bills. He's a man corner, like that is his thing. So the soft zone, I think it's still taking him some time to get acclimated to, and obviously for him, I think getting that interception is huge. So happy for him.
He did get trucked, ran over. I
Yeah, he
forget
did.
was the line was the tight end, just ran
Yeah,
him over. And he's probably like, it's freaking cold here, man. I'm used to the warm weather. And he had I mean, can you blame him? He's gonna be rusty, right? Guy
right.
hadn't really seen the field in forever. And Stefan, you bring up a great point here. Mahomes has never had to travel for a playoff game. How crazy is that, Jake? Since
Wild.
5 years since he started in 2018, has never had to go on the road for a playoff game. Now in Buffalo, he's played Josh Allen 6 times. 20 starting in 2020, they came to Buffalo and they beat the Bills. And the last 5 games have been in Arrowhead, with 2 of them being playoff games. Of course, one for the AFC Championship, and of course the great 13-second divisional round a couple of years ago.
A lot of people forget too that game in 2020 at Buffalo was the COVID year, so there weren't even fans in the stands. So he's never
Yeah.
actually played in front of a Buffalo crowd at Buffalo.
Interesting.
So
I did not know
very
that.
exciting.
Good
Yeah.
point there. Good point.
Yep.
Hey, I have a quick trivia question for everyone in the channel, because somebody hit us up and I felt bad. Like we were just ending our last show. And by the way, it's been a week. It's been a minute for us, Jake. But if someone was ending
Yeah.
the show, and remember we went super late that night. We had some new folks joining us,
Oh yeah.
and one of them said, "What is Nickel City? What is Nickel City?"
Oh.
So I want to ask everybody if you know why Buffalo has the nickname Nickel City. Can anyone tell me? I'll wait a few minutes. Do you know, Jake? I'm putting you to the test. This is our channel. I hope you know some facts about this.
Yeah. Yeah,
Do
it's
you?
it's the Buffalo nickel, right?
It's the Buffalo Nickel. Who
Yep.
was on the front and who was on the back?
Ooh,
All
it's a good question. I actually don't know.
right.
I just know it's the Buffalo nickel.
So from 1913 to 1938, they had a copper nickel, and on the front was a Indian head. So some folks refer to it as the Indian nickel or the Buffalo nickel. The buffalo was
Okay.
on the back, and it looks like the buffalo that we use on all our, gear. So that's where the city nickname Nickel City. So Buffalo, Nickel City. There's been a couple other places that use it as well, but yeah, hopefully you guys all knew that.
Love it. It's a great trivia question, honestly. And you should know if you live in Buffalo, and I failed the test. I at least knew the Buffalo nickel, though. I just didn't know the front and the back. I
Well,
should know that, though.
my son Brandon lives out there, and he's like, "Dad, Nickel City," and I told him the story. He's like, "Never heard of it,
Yeah.
Dad." And then he's
Huh.
driving around in his truck, and he's seeing an auto place that repairs cars, Nickel City
Nickel City
Audio,
Motors. Yeah.
yeah, something like that. He's like, now all of a sudden, Dad, I'm starting to see it all over the place. So you'll
Right.
find some places with Nickel City in the name. All right, what else we got going here? No, thank you on the Kelsey's, Mike. You're not a fan. You're not a fan.
I think
They're
Travis
good
has
guys.
obviously in the past you see him on the field, he could look a little he could come across as arrogant, at times. Jason, I've always loved Jason. I've never even once thought like, this guy's a scumbag or anything like that. Like I really truly like Jason Kelsey. Like this dude is just your classic beer drinker, Midwest Rust Belt guy. And you gotta love everything about him. I mean, he's just an awesome dude. He's your typical lineman too. And I loved at the Super Bowl parade where he shows up wearing that Joker costume or whatever he was wearing. So pretty sweet.
Yeah, here. So, Chris, ticks are pretty affordable this week for Houston game. Welcome to Crash. Rick will be here. That's awesome. So Rick could be
Love it.
there. Is he staying the whole week, Chris? Is he going to stay there if they win? And obviously, he said he would be at the championship game. So interesting, good stuff. Let's see. Battlehawk says he loves Elam, but he needs to keep his hands to himself. Yeah, I mean, he's always been grabby, but ever since that it's been put on him, you watch a lot of these other cornerbacks, and there's always pass interference called, and I saw some in this game that I was like, oh, that should have been called. I felt there was one against the Bills that didn't get called, and these guys are handsy. Some of the best. They have McDuffie. Who's the guy from the Jets, the young kid,
Sauce Gardner.
Sauce Gardner. Very handsy. Yep. Very handsy if
yeah.
you watch.
Oh, yeah. For sure.
So I seriously don't see Elam ever getting a second contract in Buffalo.
You know what? I think it does depend. If he has to come in, Roy, and he needs to play meaningful downs and he continues to make plays, I think he will. But as of right now, I'm still on the line of maybe him being trade bait going into next season.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
this is a good point, though, too.
Which one? Oh, what Stefan saying?
Yeah,
Douglas
I really
will help
like
you then. He was the same, and he's coming around as a ball hawk for us now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Elam, think about it. Even last year, he had a couple key interceptions when he played in his rookie year. And again, like you said, he almost had two. Should have had two. So he makes plays. I mean, like
here's
said,
a name. Yeah. Chris
Go
is watching the show right now. Here's a name for you, Chris. Jimmy Smith. It took him how many years? And I know he had some injuries and stuff, but like you think of a guy like that, former Ravens corner, Jimmy Smith. Took him some time to kind of come into his own too. I think it was really like his third season where he finally became a starting established corner for the Ravens. So that's a name I think of. Maybe Khair can model his game a little bit after Jimmy Smith. I think that'd be great. I'd be very happy with that.
So yeah, I think Hockley, I think it was Brett in our group chat said that we are 1-3 when Hockley is the referee.
Yeah, that's true. Unfortunate.
Because every city is the Queen City. Indian Head buys him back. Yep, you got it, Roy. Buffalo's first nickname was City of Light. I did not know that, Matthew. I
didn't know that either.
I've been around a long time, but I believe you, man. He's coming from LA to Baltimore. If Ravens are an AFC champ, he's not here this week. Got it.
Love it. Love it.
And then he's got Jake. We have huge Bills Mafia bar in Fells Point. You'd love it.
Oh, I'm fired up. That you're already starting to fire me up, Chris. Listen, I might have to just do it. Might have to just pull the trigger. I don't know. Have to talk it over, maybe persuade the wife. We'll see.
Yeah, learning curve for these corners isn't favorable coming from a man-style defense. Yeah, especially in our defense. But, Khair, he's a 4.3 guy. He was a 4.38. He's tall. He's got good weight to him, 200. I think he's 6'2" or something like that. Perfect size for a cornerback and a guy who can get physical when you need it. And there have been times when the Bills are playing a little more man. So we'll see. I mean, obviously, if Rasul's back, it's going to be Rasul, Dane Jackson, and then who's going to be that slot corner? You think it's Saran? Who does the channel think? Like, again, Taron Johnson is not rolled out by any stretch of the imagination. That's why you should check back on Saturday with the Ruthless guys that go live on 8:30. They'll have more information about the injuries and, of course, weather, how that will shape up. But let's go over that real quick. Let me just go through the injury report. And again, you're not going to get much today.
By the way, they technically do have Cam Lewis. I mean, he is technically the backup nickel backer for whatchamacallit, for Taron Johnson. But
That's your
I
only
think
other option.
situationally,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I think Saran Neal is a better fit there than Cam is, honestly.
I think they might play the hot hand. Maybe they start Saran, and if he's doing okay, bring in Cam. If he's not, they have that option. But let's go through some of the ones that we're worried about. Obviously, Christian Benford, knee, he did not practice. Terrell Bernard, ankle, did not practice. Gabe Davis, knee, did not practice. I was hoping Gabe would be back. I know a lot of people are going to be saying, why? Why? We did pretty well with him without him. But I just like his presence. He's a big guy, and big game Gabe is a real thing. Tyrell Dodson was limited in practice, so that's a positive sign. Leonard Floyd was on vet rest. Micah Hyde was full practice with a neck. Of course, that's just lingering from his stinger a few weeks back. Taron Johnson in the concussion protocol. And again, I think this is the second or third time. That's why I'm with a short week. I'm not very. He's been able to clear it, believe it or not, Jake. He hasn't missed a game when he's gone in the protocol. He's been able to clear it. Now we do have the later game, and I don't know how late they have to clear the protocol. I'm not sure if that goes right up until game time.
I want to say it's a day before.
Okay.
I think, yeah.
Well, we'll see. So he's, of course, he's limited in practice, but because he's not got a helmet on. I don't think Wednesdays they go full gear or anything like that, right?
No, typically not. No, you're going. I mean, especially this time of year, you're going walk through and shells most of these days. You're not even going full pads most of the days.
Chris is going to give us a little history on Kair's. Was this his dad?
No. So Matt Elam, Chris, great question. Matt Elam he is Kair's uncle, actually.
Uncle, yeah.
His dad is Abram Elam. So Abram Elam is brothers with Matt Elam. Abram played with the Browns and the Cowboys. Matt Elam, former first-round pick for the Ravens. Yeah, I mean, very highly touted. Had a decent rookie year, I felt like. Made some very critical mistakes and then really turned into a bust. And obviously, I think some injuries too. So played in the CFL, actually played with the Battlehawks, tried to make a comeback. So unfortunately for him, it really didn't pan out. But yeah, Kair is actually his nephew, which is pretty crazy when you think about it.
Yeah, Battlehawks. When the Bills play Sunday, 6:30 p.m. Eastern. Sam Martin, of course, hamstring.
Yep.
I mean, it was pretty awesome that I think he had to come back in for one punt after he pulled the hammy. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, it's the left hamstring. He kicks with the right. And I thought he did pretty decent. So it wasn't bad.
Especially, Mike, when you have to put that plant foot down.
Yeah.
I mean, that had to freaking hurt. I can't even imagine. I mean, that's a lot of like force coming down on the ground. So, gosh, yeah, good for him. Way to stick it out there. Love slippery Sam Martin, man. Nothing but love for him.
Yeah. And so my concern would be if, Matt Hack has to play and he hasn't played in a while. We talked about this with the rise, but it's the hold. He'd become the holder, right? For any kicks. And my God, you want to talk about a guy who's, I don't know, I think he's lost some confidence, and that's our guy, Tyler Bass. Yeah. I mean, I don't put it on him, that block, but dude, he did kick it low, extremely low. And then he missed that one badly to put us up by more than 2 scores at the end of the game. In a year that feels like every field goal kicker has their way with us. I mean, honestly, we've been, what was that, Charger game or whatever. I'm just thinking, man, these guys these days are kicking 45 to 55-yard field goals like it's nothing. And here we are struggling with a guy that's been so strong for us in the past.
Crazy. I mean, you never would expect it, because I feel like coming into this year, Tyler Bass was a top 3 kicker in the NFL. And this year, it has just not been his year. He has been struggling. We need to, obviously I don't want to take an easy 3 if we can, but got to somehow get his confidence up. Got to do it.
Yeah. And Tom asking, because he's just joining us. Yeah, we're just going through the injury report. Tom, Matt Hack has been signed to the practice squad. Sam Martin pulled a hammy in the last game. Hopefully you saw that when he was running down the blocked field goal attempt. He did come in and punt again, but right now he did not practice, and I don't know. I don't know what that one, Jake. I mean, if I pulled a hammy, I'd rather Hack come in, honestly.
Yeah.
Because at least he can run and make a tackle if he had to. Sometimes those punters have to engage, man.
Yep.
Von Miller, he got vet rest, and again, another man, Von Miller, buddy. Tell me about Von Miller. It's been a long time since the injury. Now he just has not looked anything close to what we
You know
saw
what,
last
though?
year.
There was a moment, Mike. He did a little spin move. There was a little bit of juice. I don't know if you saw it. He almost got there twice.
Yeah, he's
So I'm
almost.
encouraged by it. I'm encouraged. I know it's almost, but it's better than what it was.
Man.
So I'm encouraged by that a little bit. Maybe the playoffs got him a little more juiced up. I don't know what it is. He's been very quiet still.
I feel like, he could make, I keep saying this. He's going to make a play at some point that's going to matter. So hopefully it comes this week against the Chiefs. Taylor Rapp is calf. Man, that must have been a bad calf strain or whatever it is, because it's weird. Like, he dove and made the interception. I thought he just came down on the football. I thought he just took the wind out of him, but it turned out to be a calf. So I would imagine it's the type of calf strain.
Yeah.
But get your butt out there on the field, man. Tough it out, buddy. Let's go.
I don't know if you saw it. He could barely walk after getting that interception. He had to hop off the field. So I knew it was definitely something. I mean, I thought definitely the wind knocked out of him as well because of the way he fell on the ball. But yeah, he could barely walk. He had to hop off the field after that interception. So
yeah, and then your guy, Balin Spector, hurts his back. And Balin's he's also injury. I mean, he gets injured quite often. Poor guy was making some good plays, but Dorian Williams stepped in and did a heck of a job, Jake.
He sure did. I mean, you saw a little bit of that running sideline to sideline, made some athletic plays, Mike. Like, even though there were a couple plays where he got beat, he made up for it. He was able to chase and redirect. And, he did I thought he did a pretty solid job filling in.
So, Roy, I question you there, because let me just say this. So I wanted to make sure I was pronouncing it right. And I went and watched a podcast who has a friend, Matt Hack was on it, and his friend, good friend of his, introduced him as Matt Hack. So either his friends got it wrong or what, but I've heard Hawk, I've heard Hack.
I have too. Yeah, I've heard it both ways. Yep.
I feel like people were right about us spending too much on Miller. Well, they weren't right until he got injured. And then it's just, now it's looking like, it's kind of easy to, be on the couch and see that what happened after the injury. But up until that injury, Tom, well worth the money. He was earning it. Let's see. This is a good question from Matt. Did you notice the last play of the Steelers game where he just touched him and should have tackled him, and Rudolph took that run the last play of the game there?
Which play? I'm trying to think of
the last play in the Steelers game. I don't remember.
Oh, are you saying Von Miller?
Miller.
He might be referring. Yeah, that's probably what he's referring to. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, he should have tackled him. Rudolph took that run on the last play. Yep. Let's see here. He's scared. You can see the bench. It's Miller that needs to tighten his shoes and grind his way back to the top.
Yeah. I agree. Yeah, absolutely. Blue Robinson up.
Yeah. Mike, it doesn't matter what his name is.
Yeah, Allen Robinson. He left that game. I mean, he was messed up. Yeah, that was a monster hit.
I never liked Miller signing. Okay, yeah, there was a lot of folks that I was excited when it came in. I was actually, and I'm glad it worked out this way. I think I was going for, who's the other big guy? Chandler Jones. Unfortunately, he's been going through some health, mental illness. So hope everything's good with him. But I was hoping we'd go for him. But I was happy when we signed Miller. What was your reaction when you heard that news?
I was fired up. I mean, that's a big name player, a Hall of Famer coming to the Bills. It was like the biggest signing I felt since we signed Shady McCoy, or I guess since we traded for Shady McCoy, or since we got T.O. even prior to that. So it was like that type of moment for me. So I was ecstatic. And then he has a great year. And then, of course, the ACL injury. He has not been the same since.
Got it. Yeah. So, you're right, Roy. I'll take your word for it. And his friend just messed up. His friend doesn't even know how to pronounce his name right. I really wish we get the other Josh Allen as well. It would be nuts to have to. That would be insane. That would be insane.
Wouldn't that be crazy?
It would be. It would be the coolest thing. the best Josh Allen quarterback and the best Josh Allen linebacker in the league. Come on now.
Yeah.
Matt says, I like Miller. I like the knowledge he brought to the young team. We have that's the thing too. You might forget that he does bring that leadership. He brings that experience. He's helping those young guys for sure. By the way, if you're new to the channel, even if you're not new, I see a lot of people out there. I always forget to ask, hit that like button for us. Just smash it. It's free. By the way, we also have a Discord. And for 2024, one of my New Year's resolutions was to build up the Discord. If I haven't seen you in the Discord, I've been asking for a long time. Either you're not a tech guy, you don't like to run Discord, it runs on your phone or your computer, join us. We talk all week about the Sabres, fantasy football, the Bills. What else we got going on in there, Jake? The AFC East. We have a lot of discussions going on in that thread, and we'd love to get that built up. It's free as well. The link is in the description of the show.
Bets, fantasy football. I mean, you name it.
Yeah.
It's all in there. You could send us your lineup. We'll give you, Chris and Rick and Tony, those guys, they know they're betting and golfing and fantasy football.
Yeah, exactly. Golf.
Yeah, I mean, it's all on there. So it's great.
Yeah, totally agree. Jessica Von Signing helped develop the other end rushers. Yeah, just like I think it was Stefan saying that as well. Totally agree.
Yep.
Zach's still with us. Zach, I was curious. I felt Zach was just like one of those, let me join for 5 minutes and leave. And he's like that type of guy. Let me come in.
He's lurking.
Troll for a few minutes, and then I'm out of here. But here he is back, and I'm loving it. We're an hour into the show. Maybe he left for a little bit and came back.
He's at the hospital, so I don't think he has a whole lot to do there, Mike.
Okay.
I hope he's not driving. Listen, I hope you're not driving Randall nuts with my voice right now. It's probably the last thing she wants to hear is me talking football. So do yourself a favor. Do me a favor in the future. She'd probably be like, this guy is a psychopath, even though she probably already thinks so. But thank you for joining us. We appreciate the hell out of you, man. And congrats.
Yeah, sure do. He
Fired
says,
up, man. Can't wait to cheers.
I'd cut Hack and Bass. I'll say Hawk for you, Roy. I'd cut Hawk and Bass and keep these two spots for two ball catching playmakers. Never kick, never punt.
There is a college coach that is notorious for never kicking the ball and never punting the ball, and it's amazing. And I think his career record is like something ridiculous, where he only has maybe 10 career losses, but like 100-something career wins.
Sex, there's not much going on. Always wear headphones. If you remember, Jake,
that's good.
That's how we met. You were in the hospital with your little one, and we got on the call the first time when we met. It was awesome.
Crazy.
All right, we'll talk about that a little bit, Zach, at the end. Actually, not Zach, Tom, with the question about draft. I really don't want to think draft yet because I'm still focused on this year, but we can talk about this in a little bit. Jake, real quick. I mean, we're at that point. Let's talk about, again, this is an early preview. We've talked about injuries. We've talked about the comparisons between the two teams. The last 6 games, they're 3-3. 5 of the 6 have been in KC, including those 2 playoff games. We showed the numbers between the two guys. They're very good this year, as much as they've struggled, and that's Pat Mahomes. As much as you've heard, he's been struggling. His stats are right there with Josh's. So let's talk about, again, this is the first game Pat Mahomes has to go on the road in the playoffs, which is insane to me. 5 straight AFC championship games. Dude has never had to go on the road. So Jake, talk to me about what the Bills got to do to get this win.
Well, I think this is going to be cliche and it's going to be boring, but neutralize Chris Jones, win the line of scrimmage first off. I mean, that is huge. I did hear no Derek Nottie potentially this week too for the Chiefs, which would be huge. Obviously they have George Karlaftis is fantastic. They have some absolute dogs on that defensive line, but I think, it starts on the interior as well. It's crazy, Mike. The only offensive lineman on the Buffalo Bills to start every single snap this year, you know who that is?
Torrance.
Osiris Torrance, the rookie, 2nd rounder.
That's
so,
insane.
and listen, he's had his moments. He's had some rookie moments, but I think he's had a hell of a lot more good than bad. And he's going to have his hands full again. I mean, that interior defensive line for the Chiefs is really, really damn good. And it starts with Chris Jones. So he's a game disruptor. I think you got to neutralize him as best as you can. I think you got to spread it out a little bit too. I want to see some outside zone running with James Cook. I love the game plan against the Chiefs back in, what was it, week 14 or whatever it was.
Hmm.
I thought the game plan going into that was great. I think I was most upset because we stopped utilizing James Cook. Like, he should have had maybe 200 something total yards that game, had 84 receiving yards or something like that too. Um, I think he needs to be a focal point in this matchup again, because they couldn't find a way to defend him. And I know a lot of people were saying they made a lot of adjustments in the second half, and that's the reason why we stopped going to him. But I think had we still given him opportunities, he would have found a way to get yardage. So gotta focus on James Cook. I want to see a big game from him. Their secondary is elite too. I think our receivers are going to have their hands tested, and the Chiefs and Bills are the two receiving cores this year that have the lowest percentage of getting open. Isn't that crazy, Mike? They're also, I know they're definitely both in the top 5 in drops. I think the Chiefs are number 1, but the Bills are definitely, I know they're in the top 5 for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
So, I think the receiving core's got to show up, continue getting the ball in Khalil Shakir's hand, continue getting the ball in Dalton Kincaid's hands. I love the fact that both tight ends got a touchdown last week. I think
That was
that is
great.
something to be said as well. Dawson with the tough drop last game, but that touchdown catch was pretty sweet too. That was right in front of me, by the way. So that was awesome to see. I think still utilizing those other weapons outside of Steph Diggs, but go to your guy when you need to. He still had 7 catches last week. This is Mr. Reliable for a reason. So I think that's what you do offensively. Neutralize Chris Jones. Go to your reliable weapons. Feature James Cook in this game. And I think we're just going to be just fine. I mean, I know our defense is banged up. If we have to score 30-plus points, then so be it. That might have to be the case.
Yeah, this is definitely a case. I agree with you. I was going to say the same thing. This might be a case where we just got to rely on the offense to, go blow for blow with the Chiefs
Yeah.
and score. Both these defenses, though, I mean, we say, some of these folks might be thinking this might be that 13-second game where they just lit it up. This could be more of a defensive game with the weather the way it is. I mean, both these defenses are extremely good. The Chiefs are number 2 at only giving up 17.3 points per game. And the Bills are number 4 with giving up 18.3 points per game. So very good defenses. That's the one huge difference this year to me with the Chiefs. They've been able to rely on their defense. They don't have to score all the time. And I think they're learning that as well. They're learning that, hey, Pat's learning. I don't have to make the big play all the time. I can rely on his defense. So that defense is extremely good. They're looking a lot healthier than we are right now. And to your point, let's see who said that, Tom. Concern for sure. But I think some of these injured players like Rasul Douglas, I think Tyrell Dotson, I believe they'll be back, which will be a huge help. And let's see here. Jessica's saying, personally, I think they're going to ask Knox to take a pay cut next year. Yeah. I mean, how crazy was it that he dropped that pass? I mean, come on. I love Knox. And he makes that great catch in the end zone. He makes so many good plays, but then he has that moment. Always has that moment.
Yeah. He's defaulting back to like his rookie season where he'd make these incredible, immaculate catches, but then the easiest ones he'll drop. And it's like, gosh, man, it's so frustrating. It's like you make these insane catches and you make these juice plays, but you can't make the easy ones. So he's got to get out of that slump and figure it out.
Dawson drops, Mike.
Yeah.
So you talked a little bit about the offense. And again, to me, it's the turnover battle. It's cliche, but I've been saying it all year. We won the turnover battle last week, and we need to win the turnover battle this week. It's going to be huge, especially with this team, the Chiefs. The Chiefs, I want to say, like Keith said all year for his Dolphins, no matter what other Dolphin fans were saying, oh, this is their year. They had a 3-game lead. They were popping the champagne, the corks, drinking, celebrating. He said, never once did he say, I feel comfortable until we actually get this win. We get this division. Then I'll say we're AFC's champs. No earlier. This is another situation, Jake, where we got to get this monkey off our back.
Yep.
This is, I know we've faced them twice now in the playoffs. Should have had that 13-second game, no doubt, but we didn't. And then they kind of beat us pretty badly in the first AFC championship game that we matched up with them. So turnover battle for me. I agree with everything you said on offense. But let's switch over with the dinged up defense. What's our
Yeah.
defense going to have to look like and do to at least slow that team down?
This is where the pass rush has to step up. Again, you talk about the other side of the line of scrimmage, right? I mean, I think guys like Greg Rousseau, we're going to have to dig deep with him, man. Leonard Floyd. Greg Rousseau, by the way, I think he played a pretty damn good game last week,
He
too.
did.
So
Yeah.
shout out to him. Eddie Oliver, who's been absolutely killing it this year. Daquan Jones, going to have to take it to Creed Humphrey this week. Man, you talk about one of the most important players on this defense. Daquan Jones is that guy. Not a lot of people give him enough credit, but Eddie Oliver and him, some of the best interior defensive linemen in the league, and that tandem is just fantastic. So, yeah, look to see them to get involved a lot, get some pressure on Patty Mahomes. I know he's a magician, but you got to make him uncomfortable. Force him to make some very errant throws because, unfortunately for us, we're going to be playing a little bit of catch up, I think, in terms of the matchup, when you look at overall talent. Now, the good news is we are going to get Rasul Douglas back for this game. So that is huge for us. Their outside receivers are not, Rashee Rice, he's turning and developing into a very good receiver. But let me tell you, I like our corners in this matchup. I really do. So the fact that we get Rasul back is huge. Now, I think most people are concerned about what's going to happen with Travis Kelce, who's going to cover him. I already mentioned this. I think Saran Neal is the guy to take that job. He is physical as it comes. He's already battled up against Travis Kelce multiple times, and he's done a great job. So I don't see why you wouldn't put him on him again. I like Cam Lewis. You could sprinkle him into the mix too. But chances are Taron Johnson probably not going to play. I know the multiple times he's been in concussion protocol, he's passed. I just feel like the timeline, it's a little too close for comfort. So the Bills, we know they always take a lot of caution in that. So, hopefully he'll play. But if he doesn't, I think it's got to be Saran Neal there.
Did you hear that Trek reviewer? Jake said he likes Cam Lewis. He actually likes Cam Lewis. Come on now.
I do. I do like Cam.
I knew Ed Oliver. Oh my God. Can't say enough about him this year. I mean, incredible. Incredible. And then the fact that we did get Daquan Jones back was an early Christmas gift. I never thought that was going to happen, and he's been playing really well coming back. They haven't had him on a snap count whatsoever, Jake. They've been playing him what his normal snap counts are. We had zero pass rush last few years. We got some now, and yeah, it's look, they have a good offensive line. They really do. They rebuilt it. They scrapped it a couple years ago after the Super Bowl loss. Got those tackles, and it took them a few weeks to get going. And then they scrapped it again last year. Both the tackles were released, and they brought in some new guys. And again, I think it just took a while, but they're gelling. Their O-line's pretty damn good as well. They run the ball well now as well. So
I'll tell you what, I do like the matchup. Greg Rousseau against Jawan Taylor. Jawan Taylor, the most penalized offensive lineman in the league this year. I think he's got like 18 penalties or something like that. So, yeah, I really, really like that matchup. I think Groot is going to shine big in this game.
Battlehawks, yes, we got killed in the playoffs, but remember what, all that this team went through last year with the Damar Hamlin, and then just all that transpired with the Blizzard Buffalo, all that happened there. People lost their lives. There was a lot going on for the Buffalo Bills and that community. So, yes, it was sad to see us get whooped by the Bengals. I thought we'd be better prepared since they were doing the same thing to us in the game, the Damar Hamlin game. But it seemed like we didn't change anything, and they just continued to do the same thing: short routes, short passes to those big, physical wide receivers. But not the case this year. And how about Jake? Come on now. How about Mr. McDermott and that defense? That he's, no matter who's been in there, they've been stellar.
Yeah. Yeah, you got to chalk it up to some coaching there. I think you got to give Sean McDermott a ton of credit. This is probably his most brilliant coaching job he's done as the Buffalo Bills head coach. It is incredible. It is literally the epitome of next man up. Doesn't matter who's out there. They know their assignments. There is something to be said about preparation. And I can safely say I feel that we have been very prepared during this 6-game stretch that we're on right now. So really good shout out to Sean McDermott. And listen, I know we had some unfortunate situations, some stuff leaked out about him talking about the Taliban or whatever it was, but man, they have rallied around it. And who would have thought that would be the shining moment where the Bills then take over and just ride this wave, because they've done a fantastic job doing it. So pretty pumped about that.
Yeah. Matthew coming in saying, they said Taylor Swift's karma for skipping Buffalo on her tour was Kelsey's loss.
I saw that. I did see that. Yeah. Hilarious. Yeah. It's funny because her Eras tour, I guess it got canceled or rescheduled or something like that, or she just didn't even put it for Buffalo. So everyone's saying, now she has to come to Buffalo. Her punishment is coming to Buffalo and, 10-degree weather and all the snow in the world. So hilarious. And I don't know. There's not a lot of boxes in Buffalo, Mike. So I don't know where she's going to be sitting, or if she even does.
She'd find a box. They'd find a box for her.
They will.
Battlehawk. I heard Battlehawks is Swiftie. I just heard it's a rumor. Battlehawks is Swiftie. I think Stefan maybe is Swiftie. Anyone else out there? Matthew's obviously a Swiftie. He's the one bringing her up. So
I appreciate, by the way, Battlehawks. I saw the comment here. Thank you very much. I really do appreciate it. I try to do my best. Both Mike and I. We try to be as positive as we possibly can. We love this team, man. We don't want to talk negatively about them. Obviously, you have to be critical at times, but we always try to keep the vibes high. So I appreciate it, man. That means a lot.
Yeah, thank you very much, Battlehawk. And yeah, let's all get Mike Swift merch. I'm down for it. Let's go. And I know Battlehawk, I already said you're a fan.
Are you a Swiftie, Mike? Are you that guy? Yeah.
I don't know if I'm that.
I think you are.
Let's just say this. I appreciate the work she does. My kids are into her. Well, not my kids, but my older son's girlfriend got tickets and they went.
Okay.
She puts on a hell of a show. That's all I can tell you, man. She puts on a hell of a show. 3 hours at least, rain, snow. She'd perform in Buffalo in the snow if she had to. So give her some respect. Give her some respect. Did you see the one performance she had in the rain? Dude, it was
I did see that.
Porn.
I did see that. Yeah.
And it didn't affect her. She went out the whole show. So hey, give her some respect.
You got to respect the grid a little bit.
We're gonna do a show like most powerful power NFL couples.
Ooh, okay.
Who are those? And of course, it used to be Tom and Giselle. But our guy Josh has a celeb.
Yeah.
So Haley
haven't heard a whole lot about that situation.
I know.
Haley Steinfeld. Yeah. I know that they've tried to get something out of her. And I don't know what
I saw that.
Was. She was on the red carpet and they were trying to ask her, how do you feel about those football boys? And then actually she saw someone wearing a Steph Diggs jersey and they put the jersey up. She's like, wrong number. So I don't know what's going on there. I know there was rumors they were looking at rings.
Yeah.
Haven't heard a whole lot about it.
They've managed that really well. They've kept it completely separate, hasn't interfered. And when she was asked, what about those football players? She's like, what's not to like about the football players?
Yeah. Yep.
Let's see here. If you like conspiracy, I think that's what he's saying. There's no way a woman who an hour of time is worth tens of millions is going to sit at football games. NFL paying her? Nah. I don't
you know what?
So.
No, I'll say this. I was very skeptical of the relationship between her and Travis Kelce. I'm like, you know what? They're trying to just be this power couple. The NFL, not that it needs any more exposure. They're trying to build this brand together. Travis Kelce's gotten 1 million new followers because of this. Maybe they're trying to do something together as this power couple, right? I don't know. I'm starting to believe like, hey, maybe there is something to this. Like last week, she's wearing a varsity jacket with his number on it and stuff like that. She's going every game. She sits there with his mom. I mean, I'm sure she has better things she could be doing. She could literally do whatever the hell she wants. But to sit there, especially Kansas City, of all places, no offense to Kansas City. I love Kansas City, small town, right? Small market team like Buffalo is. So I respect them. But for her to sit, I know she's sitting in a box.
She loves her man. She loves him, man.
There's got to be something there, I would think, right?
I know you feed into those conspiracy theories.
I love conspiracy.
I know you're that guy.
Love them. I go down multiple rabbit holes. Don't even get me started, Battlehawks, because we'll be here all day.
Oh God. Let's see. What is this here? What's Stefan? I'm all in Benny the Butcher.
Benny the Butcher, baby. Buffalo's finest. He does the Bills Mafia rap, Mike. You got to look that up.
Okay. I'll check it out.
You've probably heard it before.
Yeah, I'm sure I have. Think about it, Jake. You don't have to say anything. Just wink.
I already winked a few times. No, you know what? I'm sure there's there's probably some compensation for that. I would think maybe, there's a chance that that's
I'm
happening.
not
I
buying
wouldn't
it.
doubt it.
I'm believing in the love story. It's a love story. She loves her
I
man.
hope so.
And she's a football fan. She wants to go see Kelsey. I mean,
She's from, I think she's from Pennsylvania initially, so you'd think she's a Steelers fan maybe growing up, but I mean now she's a Chiefs fan, so here
yeah.
we are.
I mean, and when you have enough money to travel first class or private jets anywhere you want,
Yeah.
Why not go see your man?
Right? Yeah, sure.
All right, Channel, I want to hear Kincaid is a Swiftie. I wouldn't put it past Kincaid. I wouldn't. He's a younger guy. He could be a Swiftie.
What a guy. I love Dalton Kincaid, man. He's a stud.
All right, everyone. Connor, I want to hear your predictions for the game. We're at that point in the show. Let's go. And by the way, again, I've already said this, but don't forget to drop a nickel on that subscribe button if you're new to the channel. Greatly appreciate it.
Yeah.
Now, let's see
Hey,
here.
did you see too, by the way, Mike? This is a little off topic, but
Yeah.
it was announced today. Adam Schefter came out and said that Mike McCarthy not going to be fired in Dallas.
I saw that.
Yeah. Pretty interesting.
It surprised me a little bit. Man, the Cowboys and Jerry Jones. Jerry Jones, I thought for sure would be like, look, that this is not the image for the Cowboys, getting blown out, failing again in the playoffs. I thought for sure he was going to get the axe after that.
Yeah,
but
I did too. Him and Dan Quinn, they're both still there.
Yeah.
And Dan Quinn, he was the favorite, quote unquote, for the Seahawks job. I don't know if that's happening anymore.
Yeah. And then have we heard any more on the Bill Belichick tour?
So we interviewed Atlanta. People are now saying maybe the Eagles should fire Nick Sirianni and hire Bill Belichick. I just feel like right now Bill is at a point where he has an opportunity to go and coach in LA. He has a top 5 quarterback in Justin Herbert there. Unlimited offensive weapons. He's going to get Mike Williams back next year. I really think the Chargers, they have the talent. They just need a coach to mold it all together. Brandon Staley, listen, I got nothing but love for him because he's a former John Carroll defensive coordinator. Listen, a lot of ties there, right? So I love it. Love his story. It's great. But he wasn't a head coach in the NFL. He's just not head coach material. His situational football management was just not there. And I think Bill could really ride the ship there and turn that program into something special like they should be. I feel like the Chargers every year, they're just built up to be this Super Bowl caliber team, and they always come short, and like way short, not just short, but like not even making the playoffs short. It's unfortunate.
Yeah, I thought your call was proper. I thought McCarthy was going to get fired. I thought Belichick would be perfect.
Well,
you made that call, right?
Dallas. Yeah.
And I'm like, man, how perfect would that be for Bill? He's got a team. He's only like 20-something wins away from having the most wins in regular season to beat Don Shula's record. I feel like he's not done. I feel like he's going to go to some team. But wouldn't that have been a perfect marriage for him? Goes to America's team. Another high visibility team. He had the Patriots for all those years, winning all those Super Bowls, high visibility. Now he goes to the Cowboys and has a chance to, they have a great team. So if that was me, if I'm Belichick, I want to go to a team that I'm not in a total rebuild. I want to be at a position where we make a few changes, boom, and Dallas would have been the perfect place. So
I'll say this. Now, the only thing about Dallas and LA, those two cities, I don't know if all that, like, the star-studded power is Bill Belichick. You know what I mean? Like, that doesn't really fit his personality, per se. So I know the Commanders have been thrown out there. The Falcons, which he interviewed for, that was another team. So maybe those are better fits for him. Maybe he wants not a smaller market team, but a team that is not going to be the national media every single day, because he hates the media as it is. I mean, you've seen his press conferences before. He's not giving you a whole lot of material.
I can't put my hoodie up because I have my headset hooked up, but I was going to give you my best. Yeah, we did.
There you go. You're doing a great impression right there.
I mean, what'd you think of the team today? How'd your offense perform? Dak did okay.
We're on to Cincinnati.
Yeah, so moving on.
Yeah.
You beat them by 40 points, Bill. What'd you do to get the win? We just played complimentary football. Next week, let's move. Let's go.
That's a great impression. You did a great job there, Mike. Yeah.
Oh man, let's see. Can't wait. Waiting to see where Vrabel ends up.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I heard he might take the year off, but I don't think that's gonna. I think a team's gonna swoop in and offer him a good contract and bring
And
him
this is
in.
where I thought New England had a prime
I did,
opportunity, right? Mike
yes.
Vrabel gets inducted into the Ring of Honor. He's sitting with Robert Kraft at the game, but they hire Gerard Mayo, which is a big step up for him. But you think about it, Gerard Mayo's been with that team since 2008, technically, as a player. Wins Defensive Rookie of the Year there, does some good things, goes to Pro Bowls, wins Super Bowl rings. On the coaching staff since like 2019, I think, as the linebackers coach. Also was a coaching intern prior to that. So he does know the Patriot way. I think it's still a very good fit. Curious to see who he hires as his coordinators, because I think in that type of situation, as like making such a big jump like that, you need to bring in an established offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator.
Yeah. Matt saying same as last grind and profanity from Mahomes at the end.
Oh, yeah.
Buffalo wins 20-17. Steph saying, Mike, I can't give you a prediction, but all I'm saying is Bills by $1 billion in a statement win.
I like it,
You
Stefan.
know, Stefan, you've been predicting a lot of big wins, and gotta say you've been a little off in some of those score predictions. Where's Big L? Where's Big L
I
today?
know. Listen,
Big
I told
L.
him he's probably tired. He actually snowblowed today, Mike. Typically, I'm the
dude.
guy. I go over there and I'll snowblow for him. There's a
Yes.
travel ban today, so I still went over there, but he was already done with the driveway.
You can't let
Unbelievable.
You can't let Big L do that, buddy.
I'm like, I called him up. He's like he's already out snowblowing
Oh
the
my
driveway. I'm like,
God.
this guy's gonna have a heart attack out there.
Yeah,
He's like, no, he needs the exercise.
He's got two healthy, strong sons. You and Blaker should
Right?
be over there. Like Dad will be over there right now.
Yeah.
Speaking of the travel ban, how crazy was it? There was a travel ban in force over the weekend, and then they opened up the travel ban for people traveling to the stadium to help shovel it out. I wonder how they prove that. Okay, because a lot of people are just trying to get outside, right? And I'm driving, policeman pulls me over. What are you doing out? There's a travel ban. Oh, I'm just heading to the stadium.
Yeah.
Really? Show me your shovel. Oh, I mean, I would imagine they provide the shovels at the stadium.
Yeah. Right.
How do you prove you're going to the stadium, right?
That's a great point. Yeah, I don't know. I actually don't know. I know a lot of people, because the Bills Stadium, this is what's so unique about it, obviously being located in a legitimate neighborhood in Orchard Park. There were a lot of people that were just walking to the stadium. So God bless them for walking, by the way, in 4 feet of snow. I mean, that's tough alone. And then you got these winds up to 60 miles per hour coming at you too. So those are real ones right there. And I'll tell you what, Mike, I wish I could have been there. I wish I could have, but I was at home watching that Dolphins game. Wow, they got smoked.
Yeah, I was a little disappointed you weren't sending me film from you shoveling. I will say that. Definitely. I have to ask you though, because I was shocked how beautiful it looked. I was shocked how packed the stadium was. But give me your percentages. I did see a lot of little terrible towels being waved. How did the Steeler fans show up?
They showed up. They definitely showed up. I mean, they didn't outdo us, but they definitely showed
Yeah.
up. Yeah, I mean, there was a good amount of Steeler fans there. So got to give credit where credit's due. They travel well.
I mean, they're only a 3.5 hour drive on the highway there. So if they, of course, I don't know how far the travel ban extended, but when would they be able to come in? They would have to get in early at their hotels.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and I mean, the Steelers alone didn't get in until, what was it, Sunday at like 5 o'clock or something like that. Yeah.
I thought they might bus it. I did think they'd bus it, but they flew in. But I was thinking to myself, I don't know. I'm not a big fan of flying, so I'd be like, maybe I'd take my chances on a bus.
It's crazy because they had a guy break it down, and he said actually driving was deemed more unsafe than flying because where they're flying into, where the airport was, the weather wasn't as bad. The whiteout conditions weren't really there, so you could kind of navigate around it. So, I mean, while it was obviously still snowing, it wasn't like it was in Orchard Park. The airport's in Cheektowaga, or Depew, or whatever you want to call it. So, a little bit different.
Yeah, Roy, you could. We were talking about this in our group chat, by the way, in the Discord. Join that Discord, Roy. I'd love to see you there. $20 an hour. I was seeing Petey's people $50 an hour. I don't know how many folks ended up going, but give them $50 an hour. Maybe even say you're going to get a seat somewhere. I hope they did, and give them. They were giving them complimentary breakfast, probably some lousy croissant, and what you get at one of the hotels, nothing fancy,
Yeah.
complimentary breakfast, maybe some donuts. But
Yeah, I honestly wonder what it was.
right,
Yeah.
we got to find someone. So if anyone knows, I know there's a lot of folks here in the 716. If you know anyone who went to help shovel, tell us the story. Let us
I
know
mean,
so we
free
can talk
beers,
about
that
it.
would be pretty sweet. I mean,
Oh
you're getting
no.
to steal that, you know?
So $50, and they were allowed to come in the night. I don't know how many showed up overnight. I'm sure there were a few. Um, but $50 at least. And Roy, you're right. I can't do it. Like I would have shoveled, I don't know, half a row and I'd be done. I'd be like, I can't do it. Give me my $20. I don't even think I would have lasted an hour. And then I'm also curious how that works. Like I go into the stadium.
Yeah.
What if I'm in the section 300s on that guy shoveling up there who didn't do a very good job, but I say I've been there 8 hours. And when I check out,
Ooh, yeah, there you
how do you
go.
clock in and clock out? I just put in 8 hours, guys. But
That's a
yeah,
good point.
I
I'm
agree.
sure well, I know they said you have to bring a valid driver's license, so I'm sure they scan you. Then you gotta check out. They probably have a timesheet or something like that. They gotta do tax forms and all that too. So they have it under
You
wraps
think they're
for sure.
watching you though, Jake? They're like,
Oh,
Jake,
yeah.
you were pretty much up there. You did 2 seats and then you sat down and were throwing snowballs the rest of the time.
Yeah, that I don't know. Yeah.
Matt says
Point.
62 inches total in Hamburg since this
Yep.
morning. Jake, you were talk about that. What's the weather look like for this week? We're getting more snow. I think you said that earlier on the show.
Yeah. Yeah, we're supposed to get hit with like another 20 inches tonight, apparently. Like 3 to 5 inches an hour. Apparently, it's gonna start falling actually right about now, I think. So it
Wow.
does say light snow on my computer right now. So here we go. We're already back to getting some more. I'm probably gonna have to snow blow again in the morning.
Something tells me you like doing that. I think you like
I do.
taking out the snowblower and you enjoy that time out there.
I love it. I love it. I do my neighbors' driveways. I mean, I go down up and down the sidewalk too. I am that neighbor. So I really do enjoy it, and I don't mind snow blowing your driveway if you need me to, if you're within walking distance, of course.
This was your opportunity. Now, for those that don't know, very close to Justin Shorter. He's
Yeah.
in his neighborhood. And this was an opportunity for you to go to his house and say, hey, man, I'm helping people out. Did you need some help? Simple. Did you
I
even
don't know
try that?
what townhouse he actually
You're not
lives in,
sure?
though. That's what I'm not too sure about. I've seen him walking, but I don't know which one he's in. So I got to still figure that out. I know him and Kingsley Jonathan, I think they're in the same one.
You gotta meet him. I mean, there's
Yeah.
so many opportunities, especially in the snow, to just randomly ask, "Hey, do you need help?" I'm just coming around and asking if people need help. I have this cool
Yeah.
snow blower that I'm ready to use. Let's go.
Oh, yeah.
A
Oh,
little
yeah.
bit an hour and a half. So yeah, check review. I guess so. The throughways were all shut down. Yeah, good point.
Listen, if you need to buy a snowblower, I'm going to put out. I'm not like, listen, I don't know a lot about engines. I'm not, a motorhead or anything like that, but I'll say this. Get yourself an Aaron snowblower because damn, mine is an absolute beast. Only a 28-inch cut. It's not a 30-inch like my dad. My dad has the deluxe with the heated handles and all that. But my thing will rip through snow. It throws snow so damn far. It is amazing. I mean, it was going through snow that was, up to my freaking hip. And it was just throwing it like it was nothing. It was incredible. So, and it's been doing it all week. So, yeah, just going to put my 2
Jake
cents
goes
in.
out there every hour, man. If I have a
Oh,
reason
yeah.
to get out there, he said, Jessica, so was Shorter actually hurt?
Yeah, I think it was a hamstring injury, but I'm sure there was some fudging a little bit there too,
Yeah,
just to do some roster manipulation.
I agree. I think once the opportunity presented itself, they put him on there so that they could, open up a spot. And they,
Right.
yeah, I hope to see that guy. I hope he makes a active roster again next year and finally gets some play time. Big guy. If Gabe moves on, here we go.
I mean, a lot of people don't realize he was the number one recruit in that 2019 recruiting class,
Yeah,
2018, 2019
yeah.
recruiting class. And he ended up going to Penn State originally. Then he went from Penn State to Florida. He transferred from there. He was ranked among guys like Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jamar Chase was in that class, and he was ranked ahead of him. So I know it's high school. I know you can only put so much stock into it, but they saw the potential early on at Florida too. He was banged up there, but man, he did a lot of good things, and I think he could be special. You just got to give him an opportunity, and he's got to be healthy.
Yeah, Roy, 60. I hear you, man. That would have worn me out for sure. And Matt's saying everyone likes that neighbor, Jake. That's that guy. You had your opportunity. I
Yeah.
don't care how many townhouses are there that you would have had to knock on.
There's quite a few back there, and actually, it's down a ways. I mean, I'm walking probably about a mile to where
Oh,
he's
it's that
at.
far?
So
Okay, so
yeah,
sorry.
I mean,
Earlier,
you know,
early in the season, when you said when you had that breaking news, I thought it was like a block down the street.
no. It's probably about a mile down the way. Yeah. Yep.
Good stuff. All right, everyone. I mean, that kind of concludes the show. I appreciate everyone that joined us tonight. Always good to have you folks out here. And let's hope we get the big win. Jake and I do plan on having the big celebration post game. So join us Sunday night.
Fingers crossed,
It'll
guys.
be a late
Fingers
one.
crossed.
It'll be a late one. So game will end around 9:30, 10
Yep.
o'clock on the East Coast. So gonna be a late one for the East Coasters, but we'll be there. Check out the Ruthless show on Saturday. They'll have more injury information. See if the weather has changed, and yeah, all good stuff. So, Jake, any closing thoughts, my friend?
I'm gonna give you a score prediction.
Oh
I'm gonna
boy,
do it.
that's right. I forgot to ask you.
You know, you just never know when it's going to be your last game. I know this is not going to be our last game because I'm going to give you that score prediction right now. I'm not going to give you a whole lot of detail about it, but I think the Bills score 35 points in this matchup. 35-27 Bills.
Okay, one score game.
Over's
Massive
hitting, I'll
scoring.
tell you that. It's going to hit. Yep.
Okay. Well, I'm going to stick. It's been working. By the way, my dog now is undefeated 6-0 since we got the dog. She puts on the Bills sweater and we're good to go. I say the Bills win by one or more points in a one-score game. So, Jake, it fits your score prediction.
It does. Yes, it does. I'm waiting for the Big Al 49-14.
Big Al's always the 35-10 guy. I feel like if I look back, 35-10. Oh, Tom.
For sure.
I'll throw this out, Jake. He loves the draft. We'll have, after the season ends, after our Super Bowl, we're going to have a lot of off-season, pre-draft, pre-free agency. But let's answer Tom's question. He had a question about who do we focus on in the draft next year.
I think so. If you're looking at a first-round pick, I definitely want to take my guy Xavier Leggett. I've been really endorsing him a lot on this show. He's a wide receiver. He's like DK Metcalf 2.0. And he actually offers return value as well. He was kind of a late bloomer. He's a fifth-year senior at South Carolina. That's one of my favorite college teams. So as you can see, I got the pool lights back there. Love the kid. Really, really big fan of him. I think with him, it's kind of similar to James Cook because the utilization isn't as high. And he's on a very, they had a lot of depth at the receiver position there at South Carolina. He was banged up a little bit last year, but this year he came into his own. This dude's 6'2", like 220, runs 4.3, Mike, high 4.3s. I mean, he's fast as hell. He's physical. He can win jump ball battles. It's everything you want in an outside receiver. A lot of people have him projected going late first, early second. So I would like to get him, definitely in the first round if we can. I think you got to look at safeties. I think you got to look at maybe a backup center as well for Mitch Morse. That could be a potential in the second round too. And honestly, when you look at the DBs we have on our roster and how they developed, we can move some guys to safety if we need to. Unfortunately, with Jordan Poyer and Micah Hyde, Father Time's kind of shown his way a little bit this year. So I think safety is certainly something you got to consider in the draft process too.
Yeah, I like your idea of wide receiver. For sure. We got to get a guy that can, like Zay Flower. I mean, you called it. You wanted Zay Flower. Look what he's doing for the Ravens. Guy's lightning. He's just a playmaker, a game changer. I want a game changer. I want one of these guys. I also agree with, O-line. Can never have enough depth at the O-line. Center is that place where Mitch Morse, you never know when he might call it. Thank God he's been pretty healthy this year.
And by the way, did you catch that interview with Mitch Morse on Pat McAfee's show?
Yeah. Somebody said
incredible.
Actually, I didn't catch it, but someone in the chat mentioned it, where he said, "Did you teach Josh that slide or something like that?"
Yeah.
And what was his response?
He said the F word. He said, "We've been telling that MFer to slide," and I was so happy he didn't on that play. But he was great. He is very charismatic. He is awesome. I need him to be a regular on the Pat McAfee show because he's freaking incredible.
Yeah. So I again, so receiver, O-line, center. I'm looking at safety. Agree with you there. I'm looking at linebacker too.
Yeah.
I want to shore up that linebacker crew. Dorian Williams, I know we drafted him third round. He does look good at times, so maybe it just needs a year or two to develop. Basically, he actually looked really good last week. Spectre. So defense, I think I think McDermott, he's a defensive coach. He's always looking at those D line guys, those edge rushers. And obviously with Leonard Floyd, got to re-sign him, but are we going to be able to? We got to re-sign Rasul Douglas. Definitely got to re-sign Rasul Douglas. And then what do we do with Trey White?
Well, so Rasul is actually on contract through next year.
Through next year? Okay, good.
So that's good. But yeah, I mean, you're talking maybe extension.
Yeah.
That is certainly going to be a priority for the Bills. So yeah, going into the next season.
Then Trey White, maybe trade opportunity. I mean, he's a huge cap hit next year.
He may retire though, too, Mike.
That's true.
You just don't know. Yeah, I mean, not sure what his future looks like, honestly. I feel so bad for the guy because, he was starting to get back to his form. And, just sucks, man. Just sucks. This is a good point. Yeah, Ryan Bates technically is our backup center right now. He could definitely be that guy. And I have a lot of confidence in him, too. But, yeah, I don't know. I don't know if they're going to decide to move forward with him or if they're going to maybe look elsewhere.
Yeah, it feels like they like Bates to be that utility guy. They never use him. What did he come in for a little bit for? I think he came in for Morse for a few
and that's
snaps.
the thing. He can play every position.
Right, he can play at every position. So I still think even
you got to keep him.
Yeah, if he becomes the center, they're still going to need a backup to him. So I don't know, but that's a good call, Jessica.
Yeah.
Free agency is always fun too, guys. I mean, don't forget about that. You can plug up a lot of holes or a lot of concerns in free agency, and then what you don't get in free agency, you use the draft to get it. I think we should trade Trey White. Yeah, if he comes back. With all that salary cap, and I don't think it's much of a savings if you cut him. Honestly, I think he's still a huge dead cap to us as well. Right. So, I mean, I don't know. I don't know if anyone would be willing to take him and take a chance on him now after these two big injuries.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about an aging corner as well.
Yeah,
a guy that's 4 years, 3-4 years removed from his last All-Pro season too, coming off two major injuries. That's tough, man. I don't know if you're going to find trade value. Unfortunately, it may be a one of those unfortunate cuts, or he may just retire. Like I said.
Yeah, he's guaranteed money's been paid, but he's still a dead cap hit if we release him.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, if I look it up here on Spot Track, but I'm not going to waste your time. But I've looked at that recently. It was not that long ago. And yes, even though the guaranteed money's paid, it's passed on year after year. If there's and so there is dead cap. I think I want to say it's almost $20 million that they would release him. It's still a huge hit. So I could be wrong. Check Spot Track. They have some good information on that. 4 seasons in a row now where they're not going to get a full year out of him. Yeah, I just don't see how you can. I don't think anyone takes him as trade. And if you release them, you're still paying a lot of money. So
yeah.
Let me just check that real quick. So go ahead.
You're kind of stuck. It's a pretty tough situation, honestly. By the way, guys, I do want to bring up just some of the players for the Chiefs. I didn't really go into too much depth about their roster, but they have some real good players on that squad. I don't want to be called a homer by anyone in the comments here, so I just want to highlight a couple of the other names that we got to look out for on Sunday. Nick Bolton leading the pack at middle linebacker. This kid's incredible, out of Mizzou, hometown kid. Plays with a full head of steam, a lot of tackles. He's an incredible football player. So Nick Bolton's definitely a guy that's going to be clogging up the middle for them. Leo Chanel, another linebacker for them. Willie Gay, the other linebacker there. Their corners. I mentioned their secondary a little bit. Algeria Sneed, who's having a very nice season, and Trent McDuffie, who I think led the league, or he was one of the league leaders in forced fumbles this year, which is incredible as a corner. I mean, you're talking cornerback, amongst the top leaders in forced fumbles. That's pretty damn impressive. He's a physical player, a guy that actually I wanted the Bills to look at as a potential first-round pick at corner. Instead, we got Kyrie Elam that year. And then we have Jalen Watson as well to look out for. So I highlighted that receiver cornerback matchup. I still think we can outdo them there, but it's not a team to overlook there either. And of course, backing them up there, you got Justin Reed and Mike Edwards playing safety for them. So they have a pretty solid defense and a very opportunistic defense. And Steve Spagnuolo is one of the best in the game at making adjustments. So it's going to be a good one, but I'm going to stand by my score prediction, 35-27 Bills.
I love that. So I was a little high. Dead cap is 10.3 million. Still a good amount of money, but he's slotted to get paid $16.4 million. So you do have a $6 million savings. And yeah, I can't see a world where unfortunately you don't take that $6 million savings and release them. I feel. Yeah, there was a reason why they didn't extend White.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah, and for those Kansas City folks, we've had Kansas City folks. We've done shows in the off season, and we always have some good folks come in. We try not to be too biased. This is going to be a hell of a game. This probably might be the best game. Definitely, in my opinion, should be the best game of this weekend, I hope. And these two teams, we've seen it. We've seen it now. We've been able to beat them 3 years in a row in the regular season. We just haven't been able to get over the hurdle in the playoffs. And we almost did. But now's our chance. They come to Buffalo, which is nice. I'm finally glad. Like the last 5 games we've played has been in Kansas City. Thank you. Come on over to Buffalo. First time Mahomes is on the road. I don't think, you know what, Mahomes is so good. I think people are putting more emphasis on that. I don't, obviously it's a struggle when you can't hear the play calling. You got to go to silent snap. No doubt about it. But this is a Super Bowl team. This is a team that's been the five AFC championships in a row, 3 Super Bowls out of 3 Super Bowl appearances out of those 5 years, 2 wins. So, again, it definitely helps that we're going to have that home field.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think the weather matters. I mean, they just played the Dolphins in cold weather, and Mahomes was zinging the ball. Looked great.
Yeah.
So I don't think weather, there's no advantage there.
It looks like it's going to be in the teens. It's going to be really cold. I can tell you that. I don't think there's going to be much snow in the air, but
it's going to be some sun.
I did see that.
There might be some sun that day.
Yeah.
All right. So yeah, no disrespect. I'm telling you, we know. Like I said, this game to me will be a 1-score game, and it could be a high-scoring game. We could have those high scores, Jake. I mean, it might be. Depending on our injuries, we may be forced to put up a lot of points to win the game.
That's kind of where my head's at. I know both of these defenses don't allow more than 20 points a game, but I think it's going to be a lot different than that first game we played. And honestly, it did feel like the Bills should have had more than 20 points. So I think we're due 35 points. I'm still sticking by that.
It feels like we should have a lot more points than many of the games this season.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, including this past game. Yeah.
All right. Well, Sunday Night Football, folks. Sunday Night Football. We'll see you late that night for the post game. Good or bad, we'll be there. Hopefully we have our party hats on and we're celebrating, moving on to whoever wins the Raven game. I did want to ask you, and I want to ask the channel real quick, your thoughts on the Ravens-Texans game.
Yeah, I think that's going to be a little bit of a back and forth game too. I am so damn impressed with what DeMeco Ryans has done and what CJ Stroud has done with that team. He has put that team on his back. He has made the most of his opportunity and then some. I mean, they have some guys, some very good young talent, Nico Collins. And how about Motor? Devin Singletary, Mike, your guy, just absolutely killing it for them. Their offensive line's been playing really good football too. Dalton Schultz at tight end. They have a lot of good weapons. The defense, I mean, everyone has just been contributing, and that team it's dangerous. So I think it's going to be a lot closer than people think. I do think Baltimore still comes away with a victory, although I want the Texans to, because if they win and the Bills win, the Bills host an AFC championship game.
Yes. I mean, that's the ideal situation, but, I just think that Raven team is so damn good. They're primed. And Chris and Rick, I don't want them, being upset at us. They've already set they're saying, hey, you and I will fly there. We'll do a podcast. What's the name of the stadium out there in Baltimore? What do they call it?
It used to be M&T Bank Stadium, but I think now I'm not sure if it's still called that. Let me see. I'm gonna have to look that
We'll
up.
just call it Raven. We'll call it Raven Stadium. Jessica, yeah, you're right. The salary cap should go up, which is fantastic. And then, if you do release Trey, you got another 10 million that you.
It is still M&T
free up.
Bank Stadium.
M&T. Okay.
Yep.
No fears. Texans. You're calling the Texans, Jessica. Huh? I love it. I mean, what they did at Cleveland, I didn't see that coming. I truly did not see that coming. They destroyed them. They moved the ball at will. Defense was all over Flacco all game.
It looked like it was going to be a shootout at first. The Browns had a 14-10 lead, and then the Texans just took it from there.
How about these young quarterbacks? Jordan Love over there at Green Bay.
Yep.
Unbelievable. Some love. I mean, the future's bright for the stars of the NFL, especially at quarterback. And we'll see it on display. We'll see if that rust, they basically have had 2 weeks off. They've had 2 weeks off. They didn't play their starters in their final game, and they had the bye week.
Yeah. And they're getting Mark Andrews back potentially. So that is huge news.
Yeah. When I told my son that, he couldn't believe it. It was like, too bad, Dad, they don't have Andrews back. I said, guess what? He was just taken off the IR and he's practicing. So I expect to see him in the near future. So it's going to be extremely tough to beat that team. But hey, last time they had the first seed and had a bye, lost.
Yeah, they got smoked.
One and done.
Right.
All right. So I think I said that's the end of the show for about 4 times, but I love staying on talking 2 hours.
It's never really the end. Yeah.
It's never really the end. If somebody brings something up, we'll keep talking. Appreciate everybody out there. So let's go. Let's get this win. Thanks again for everyone joining us. We'll see you Sunday. Go Bills.
Go Bills.